Okay. So just an administrative matter, findings of fact and conclusions of law, we previously had said those were going to be due August 12th. They're now going to be due August 16th by 5 o'clock p.m. to be emailed to me. So I just want to make that clear on the record. At this point, we're going to resume public comment. So is there anyone here who's not a party to the proceeding who would like to make a public comment? Okay. Sir, if you want to step over to the podium, state your name and your address.
My name is Leonard Crute. I live at 508 Raymond Avenue and in the Edinburgh area. I haven't commented at all. This is my first time here, and just a little quick background. As you can tell, I was in the military, submarine service, nuclear. I am an engineer. I taught for 30-some years, technologies, and I have been considered an expert, by the way, by other courts, but I'm not here as an expert. So, by the way, 500 feet is quite a distance, you know. So I wrote something up. I'm going to try to read this real quick. It's quite a distance to hear 50 decibels. So I can't imagine what sounds like at 20 feet, but that's not the issue. But so it doesn't take an expert to know that that's not good for the human being, for peace and quiet. That is, there should be no noise after sunset, regardless of what day it is. But especially on a Sunday, I like to pray to God. I like to have peace and quiet when I pray to God. You know, so if I hear humming and all that stuff, if it's not necessary, why do we have that? Why do we allow it? So I'm not against proven technologies. As I told you, I taught that for 30-some years in both high schools and colleges. So my system, I have a system at home, a solar system. So that tells you right now, I am not against solar. In fact, it is a great thing. But it's not a great thing when it is great, meaning a farm. For homes, it is perfect. It's great if you can afford it and you like it, you don't mind putting it on your roof or wherever. But I moved out of Reading, 30-something. I lived there for over 30-some years in Reading, downtown. Well, not downtown, but a couple streets away from downtown. For 35 years, actually. And I moved here to Hamburg because I wanted nature. I wanted to get out of the city. And now we're going to put solar panels and systems in. They're ugly. I don't care what you say. They're not beautiful. They're not like a tree. They're not like a bird. They're not like a mountain. They're not like a lake. They're not. They're ugly. They're man-made, just like the city. Cities are not pretty. Some people might have a different opinion. Beauty's in the eyes of the beholder. So again, I'm not against a photovoltaic cells or energy, but I can tell you that they have not improved from like the 70s. They're about 20% efficient. Some are 22, 23. I might have hit 24. I'm not quite sure. I worked with nanotechnology, so I know how the technology works. We were trying to develop something. If they could ever get one that's 99% or 95% or even 90%, well, solar might have a really, really good chance. But that's not what it is, so we can't talk about that. So renewable energy today provides a very small amount of our energy. I'm sure if you look it up, you know that. I'm not quite sure. I think it's around 2%, 3% when you have the windmills and everything together in there. The biggest source of energy that we have in the United States is gas. And Pennsylvania is either second or third producer of gas. Texas is number one. And they want to get rid of that, okay? I worked at a nuclear power plant, by the way. I was there during the development, during the startup phase, and I agree, I like nuclear power. It's the answer, what I call, for today, but not for tomorrow. We need to come up with something for tomorrow. So as I noted, I taught electronics, I taught technologies. So they shut down the coal plants, they pollute, right? That's what they said. Well, they do. I mean, they had the stacks, they had all this kind of money in stacks to prevent the mercury and the gases from getting out, but they still closed them down. So has anyone taken a look at how large-scale energy farms, solar farms are? Are they contributing to the pollution? Okay, not the air. We're assuming they're not contributing to air pollution. And I'm not even going to look into how they're developed with all the chemicals, etc. But they're polluting our land. They're going to erode our land. They're going to cause problems. They last for 20 years at 80%. Everybody thinks they fail at 20 years. They don't fail, although they could. At they're rated for 80% after 20 years of service. So they should be replaced to get your money's worth out of them, or abandoned. If they're abandoned, yeah, they're going to put the land back the way it was. No, they don't. I don't care how much money they put. You can't. It's impossible. You can't put it back the way it was. Maybe close. So if you haven't been listening to the detriment that solar panels and solar farms will create, well, pay attention to this one thing. I'm going to end it here. I read there's a chief, and he sold land to the United States, and I can't remember exactly when it was. Obviously, it was probably back in 1700s or 1800s or whatever. And he wrote a really neat paper about taking care of his land. Taking care of his land. His name was Chief Seattle, from the state of Washington. And if we don't take care of our land, what do we have left? We don't have anything. We don't have anything. We don't take care of our air and our water. We all know that. We don't have anything. Solar power is, this type of solar power, large, is not going to help us. It helps the business person, the commercial person. They're going to be making money, but we're going to be losing. So if we allow this to go on, whether it's here or in New York or wherever, we've got problems. New York, I just read an article, by the way, has ordinances on noise that we've been just talking about introducing. They're not allowed to produce a certain amount. I think Massachusetts does too. Maybe we should incorporate those ordinances into Windsor Township. I don't know how you go about doing that. I'm not a supervisor or anything. So that's something to look at too. Well, I was a little shocked when I found out that noise was coming at night. So I looked up, and I have a little theory on that. And my little theory is, everybody knows that sun sets at a certain time. Right now it's about 8:30ish. But then there's also a civil sunset, and then there's another type, and then there's astronomical sunset. So that's when the sun is about 6 degrees below the horizon, and the astronomical one is when it's 12 degrees, and it still produces light. Now, my solar system wouldn't produce any energy, but you got all these solar panels out there, they're going to keep producing energy at night or after sunset, up to about 3 hours or more. So maybe it doesn't produce energy, noise, at 2 in the morning. I don't know. But either way, they can put a switch on those and turn them off. But I just, we got pollution. We got enough pollution. I got enough to worry about. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who'd like to make a public comment? Rob, are you represented by counsel?
That's why I was asking, yes.
Yeah. So your counsel will make a closing statement.
Very good, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Is there, you can't tell. You have a mouthpiece.
How you doing? My name is Josh Frost. Just purchased a home at 128 Blile Road. For the last 6 to 8 months, my wife and I have been going through the rigorous process of trying to find our forever home. And we found that house. We thought it was amazing. Just started unloading all of our stuff today. And last night, had some pretty good neighbors, talking with them and asking questions about these solar farms that nobody had told us anything about throughout this whole process. Kind of a little bit negligent on our part, I guess, not knowing that there was this whole project about to start. Pretty much against that for sure. The whole selling point of this home that we bought out in the beautiful countryside was how quiet and how peaceful it was. That's not going to happen if we have a farm across the street staring at it from my front window. Every time I walk out my front door, I got to listen and hear the humming, looking at these things, and then not even mentioning what's going to happen when we have these torrential rainstorms on a hillside. How's that going to affect all of us downstream of that? I'm just beginning to get here at the end of what's going on, I guess, but I'm gonna do everything I can to help pitch in and fight for this because I don't agree with it. I feel like us living out in the country, trying to get our style of living is what we chose, what's here, and we're gonna fight our ass off to not have this in our front door. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Any other members of the public who are not represented by council?
Ben Sonnen, S-O-N-O-N, Pine Street, Hamburg, 953. Thank you for hearing me. So, you at the supervisors need to leave your personal feelings out of this. No matter what your neighbors say, you have to take care of the ordinance. That is the law of the township. You are the judges of this. Remember, these hearings are also just for conditional use of this. I am not for this. I'm not against it. It's interesting. And I love how these people back here came up, did their research and everything else. I'm proud of them. These are good residents of this township. The residents make this township also. But there is other things. If you ask these residents here that are fighting for this, if it's on the other side of the township, are they still for it or against it? I have no idea. If you ask them about where their houses came from, what was there before their houses? These were fields. You gave up fields and views to put their houses there so they could have these views. Is that okay? It was okay in the past. So if you take views away and stuff now, why is it not okay now to take views away when you took farmland and other areas away from that? So I just wanted to say that. So thank you for your time.
Anyone else want to make a public comment? The record reflect that there's no further public comments at this time. So what we would normally do is go into start closing arguments at this point. We have a supervisor who's not here this evening, so I want to ask the parties if they are willing to consent to proceeding this evening in the absence of that supervisor, or if they would rather have us reconvene for a closing argument when that supervisor is able to be present. Applicant.
No objection to proceeding.
To proceeding. Mr. Clark.
With all due respect to Mr. Gallagher's travel, the amount of time, the number of days the public has been here, I think, and normally we don't have argument on conditional use, but given statements by the supervisor who is absent throughout the proceedings, I think it's imperative that he's personally here to hear the argument rather than trying to read the argument on the transcript. So my preference is I wish he was here. If the board wants to rule that they'll proceed anyway, that's fine, I'll proceed, but I really think he should be here.
Mrs. Palanek, what's your position?
My position is much like his, and I do wish he was here, and I'm really sorry that he's not. I'm sorry he's experiencing whatever's going on.
Mr. Hartman.
I agree he should be here.
Mr. Hoffner.
I agree he should be here.
Mr. and Mrs. Yap. Oh, he left. Okay. Mr. Osenbach.
I agree. He can't get anything from text that you would in person.
Mr. Balthaser.
I agree.
Mrs. Balthaser.
He needs to physically hear it.
Ms. Fowler.
He needs to hear and also see the expressions of the people speaking.
Mr. Fowler.
I agree with everything that was said.
I think, and Mr. Davis, do you have an opinion on this?
I think it's appropriate.
Mr. Long? Okay. So I think what we're going to do is we're not going to proceed with argument this evening. We are going to have to pick a date. to come back. We did have a date, but the township really got double booked. So there are two zoning hearings on July 17th that are going to be here, and as you can see, we probably cannot accommodate a conditional use hearing and two zoning hearings at the same time. So you are welcome to come on the 17th for the zoning hearings, of course. They start at 7. So what I would like to do at this point is we're going to take a short recess so that I can confer with parties and the supervisors that are present, so we can get another date. And then once we put that on the record, then I do want to discuss with parties and council the exhibits for applicants, objectors, and other parties to make sure that we have everything admitted, and if there's something that needs to be admitted, we can do that at the next proceeding. So I want to let everyone know what we're going to do. Nothing substantive other than the next date's going to happen this evening. So we'll go off the record at this point, and any parties, if you want to come forward. All right, folks. We're gonna go back on record. So at this point in time, we're going to continue this hearing in progress until July 18th at 7:00 p.m. And that will occur in the Township Building, 110 Haas Road, Windsor Township, Pennsylvania. At this point, 7:00. July 18th, so that's next Thursday. And you're okay. And what?
What if I said no?
Then we have to take another recess. At this point, Mr. Vice Chairman, if you want to entertain a motion to continue the hearing in progress until next Thursday, July 18th at 7:00 p.m.
Sure, I can make a motion, can I have a second, and we continue the meeting next Thursday. All in favor?
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.